Good evening. This is Vinamre Kasanaa, and today I have the sixth episode of the Vitruvian Man podcast. My guest, Quazi Johir, is a spiritual content creator on YouTube. He comes out with some really awesome videos on law of attraction, manifesting the life that you want, and he just came out with a book called Life Mastery, which is basically centered around the same principles, and he can talk more in depth about that.
Yeah, so I wrote Life Mastery beginning of this year, so 2018.
That's my roommate playing Fortnite.
That's sick. Anyway, so beginning of this year, last year, I had this spiritual awakening, this cheesy thing, where I just started to meditate and I got like so much benefit from it.
Right.
Like just like understanding that there's a distance between me and my thoughts.
Yeah.
And that there's something that thinks, right? And I'm not really my thoughts.
Yeah.
And then understanding more and more of that, I started to see how like you can take control of your own life by just understanding the wave of your thoughts and how you can like just align your thoughts in a certain pattern.
Right.
And focus on certain things, and whatever you focus on, you attract more of. And that's what the law of attraction basically is. And after learning a lot more about that, I started reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Which
is a famous classic. I think it was written in the 30s or the 40s during the Great Depression.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I mean, even if you look at the book now, it's difficult to read because it's such archaic language.
I see.
So reading that book, they talk about how you can create a goal card for yourself, where it's just like, oh, by January 1st, 2019, I will have X amount of money in my bank account, and then you read this every night, which is it's a thing called affirmations, if you're not familiar with it. And you read these affirmations, you say them to yourself, and slowly there's a conscious level of your belief system and a subconscious level of your belief system.
Okay.
And once your belief systems gets to like a certain level where you're just so aligned to a certain belief system that it becomes your core belief system, it goes to your subconscious. You push it away. It's like I'm wearing these glasses right now, but after a while I don't realize I'm wearing glasses.
Right.
Because we basically identify with these belief systems so much.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like understanding that you have a space between you and your thoughts. And if you learn to just nurture this space and just appreciate this space and take a seat and just observe all your thoughts that go by, you can actually start to observe all the beliefs that you have and start to change these beliefs.
So that's what the book is about?
Basically something like that, and it's just about aligning the energies, the life energies that we have all within us into a certain direction to manifest and create more of a certain reality.
I see. A couple of interesting things you said there. One of the things you said was affirmations, and that's something that's it's a popular part of new age self-help advice also. Like you say, you wake up in the morning, you say positive affirmations. You look up positive affirmations online, and you find affirmations for wealth, affirmations for prosperity, affirmations for love, affirmations for happiness, and there's a bunch of these things. And actually I ended up trying some of them myself, and it's like I used to wake up in the morning and look inside my dirty mirror and say, hey, I am awesome. This is great. It felt weird, so I didn't continue with that. But you're someone obviously who's immersed in this practice and has done that. Now, as someone who's skeptical about the whole idea of manifesting ideas and attracting the reality that you want, because, like you said, you can separate yourself from your mind or the pathological thinker as the knower or the observer, which is essentially what Eckhart Tolle preaches in his book The Power of Now, which what I'm assuming is parallel to the law of attraction in some senses.
Right.
Now, for someone who's skeptical, who can't seem to control their thoughts, how would they go about this sort of thing? Because it's dense once you get into it.
Right. So the idea that you can control your thoughts, it's kind of inaccurate. It's more like controlling the flow of your thoughts. It's not like you say, no, I don't want to think this now, because then you're resisting the thoughts, and whatever you resist will persist. So in the spiritual community, we have this big thing of surrender and just surrendering to whatever circumstances you have in life, and then switching the tracks so you can align the flow of life in the path that you wish that it goes. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. But how would you give me an example to illustrate that better, perhaps?
Okay. So I've personally, I like to like do a lot of things. I like to be good at a lot of things because it's just fun for me. So like, I like to get good grades because it's a hobby of mine.
Yeah.
So then I'll like one semester I'll be like, oh, you know what? This semester it'll be fun to manifest a 4.0.
Manifest a 4.0?
Yeah.
Instead of working toward a 4.0, you manifest.
Okay. So what happens is there are like 3 different paradigms you can come from, and this took me a while to realize. And this is the most powerful teaching. Like this is the most powerful teaching you can get in terms of law of attraction. Basically, the lowest level paradigm is the paradigm of having, in which you're focused on what you have and what you can take from the world.
Okay.
And because you come from this paradigm because you think that if you have something, it'll give you happiness.
Right.
Because you don't understand that happiness is a prerequisite. Because
it is the default state.
Exactly. Happiness is totally irrelevant from what you have. And we know this because there are rich people who have a lot of money who are fucking miserable.
That is absolutely correct. Yeah.
And then there are poor people who have no money who are absolutely in bliss all the time. They're just grateful about what they have. So this goes to show that it doesn't matter what you have on the outside. It's just working on your internal state and working on your external state are 2 different things. So we can feel good first and approach life from that feeling good of ourselves and contentness within who we are.
Right.
And that makes the experiences much more richer. Because I've had friends who've achieved a lot of things and they've just been like, well, I'm with this beautiful girl in this beautiful mansion overlooking these beautiful oceans, and I still feel like that shitty, miserable guy who was just a loser and didn't have all these things. So what changed? Nothing really changed, right? So working on your internal well-being is totally irrelevant on what you get externally.
Right. So you said that's the having paradigm. What are the other 2 paradigms?
Okay, yeah, fine. I just totally
that's okay. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the having paradigm. And then one step above the having paradigm is the doing paradigm, where you're concerned with what you can do in order to have. So then you start to think about, what can I do that's going to get me that 4.0? What can I do now? What can I do? What action can I take? So it's the action-taking paradigm.
Which is you would say
it's much more powerful. It's much more energetic than the having paradigm, where you're just complaining about not having something. You're just like, oh, I'm depressed. I don't have that. I'm depressed. And if I get depressed and I play the victim, then God will give me this, or something will come.
Which is really common now, especially now that depression is used as a buzzword around college campuses and all of that. It's just like, okay, I'm depressed. I'm anxious. It sucks, and then you play the victim, you play the martyr, and people feel sympathetic for you.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because when people say they're depressed now, if you were to look at it back in like the World Wars, like that era, 1915 to 1945, and if you said you were depressed, people would be like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Like, what do you mean you're depressed? Like, we have a war to fight. No one was ever depressed. Everyone had something to do.
Yeah.
So everyone was at that doing paradigm at that level.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back to the doing paradigm, if you come from that mindset of, oh, what action can I take? Then you start to concern yourself with what you can do in order to take. But that's still not as powerful as the paradigm of being. So once you concern yourself with the paradigm of being, you start to focus on becoming that person that gets that thing, becoming that person that attracts that thing into your life. So this having, doing, and being paradigm is concerned with another overarching principle, which is power versus force. And David R. Hawkins, this spiritual consciousness researcher, he
spiritual
talks
consciousness researcher.
He has like a PhD in like consciousness research.
So he conducts experiments on people's spiritual states or consciousness.
Yeah. So he got enlightened at a very young age. He like experienced blissful states, and some people are just karmically like more inclined to experience certain states.
Well, for the viewers and listeners, karmically would typically mean they had less of a residual bad karma from the past.
Right.
So they were more able to.
If you believe in that.
Yeah, of course, if you believe in that, but like because you said karmically as a verb, so I thought it'd be better to specify like what it meant.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but absolutely. David R. Hawkins' power versus force.
Right. So in Power versus Force, he talks about the hidden determinants of human behavior, and basically there is force, which concerns itself with what can I do in order to take, and power, which just bees and attracts.
Interesting.
So force is like you're forcing your way into something. Power is like you're attracting it into your life. So in the case of, let's say you have a crush on this girl, right? And she doesn't like you back, and you just like force it. You like text her every day. You tell her you love her, but she's not into it. You
You
start stalking her.
masquerade, you know.
You start stalking her, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to you become that attractive person who attracts that kind of girl into your life. And then the girl just becomes attracted to you, right?
Naturally.
And the thing about force and doing that stalking thing and that, you know, just messaging her every single day incessantly, it's like akin to rape, really. It's just like you're forcing your way into someone's life who doesn't even want you there. You're like forcing your way into a reality that you don't really, like, you can't really attract it. So your only choice is to force it, but it doesn't really work. Forcing it never works. So in a battle of power against force, power will always win. Power is much more energetic. So anyway, that's concerned with the being paradigm. You're just focusing on power.
It's really interesting that you say that because I was reading about these psychological archetypes of the mature masculine man, and they were propounded by Carl Jung, which is a famous psychologist that we all know. And the being paradigm, interestingly, I have a picture of that right there. That's King Arthur. It's associated with king energy. King energy is typically something that is generative, and things naturally flow to the king.
King energy.
King energy.
I like that. That's
It's because it's like the king simply bees and nature subjects prosperity, abundance, all of that flows toward him naturally. And the precursor to the king is, I forgot what the boyish archetype for that was, but it's something along the lines of a boy who, when he sings in the forest, birds come and perch right next to him, and he has a sort of spiritual connection to nature, animals, and sort of just the divine child. That's what it was, the divine child who has. But the divine child is also at the same time really innocent, and it can be harmed. So the king has his guards up, but still is able to generate all that energy. That's the sort of progression from being vulnerable to having the capacity to harm, but still being abundant and being a king. Right. So that's really interesting. But interestingly, you said the being paradigm. So I had a Skype call with this guy, and we were just talking about stuff. And I was telling him, like, hey man, I've been really stressed out because, like you mentioned, you do a lot of different things, right? So I have all these different parallel goals that I've set for myself in different aspects of my life, and we can go further into that. But I just felt mentally exhausted yesterday to the point of complete collapse.
Okay.
And he said, perhaps you just need to chill out and relax and not think about doing stuff. Because I was having chills when you were saying the doing, thinking, being thing, because that's literally the conversation I had yesterday with someone. It's like, you've been doing so much all the time, and then you wake up with this feeling of dread and anxiety, like, I have to do all these different things today. You can optimize, you can get the best planners, you can get Trello, you can get all these different self-help journals, write down 3 things you're grateful for,
right?
Do the whole thing and still not be satisfied.
It just becomes an addiction.
It does.
The self-help addiction.
Oh, the self-help junkie. That's an archetype.
Yeah.
So I often get into that, and it's funny that today I made a point to do nothing at all and just experience who I am as a person. I went and got breakfast at Union Cafe. I got drunk in the middle of the day.
Beautiful.
And just enjoyed life.
A little drunk now, like.
You are. But the thing is, there was not this sort of imminent pressure or the sort of standard that always exists. The sort of judge that says move, that sort of thing. So I wanted to talk to you about how does one get from the doing paradigm to the being paradigm? Are there specific exercises? And if there are exercises, are they implementable for the layperson? Things along those lines.
So at the end of the day, it's just you're trying to get a certain result into your life, right? Because you think that result is going to give you some sort of feeling inside. So in the law of attraction community, what we do is we know that doing this will give me that result, and that result will make me feel this. We reverse it and we say, well, if I start to feel this feeling first, then I start to take that polarity that already attracts that thing into my life. And once you start to feel abundant and you feel like you already have this and you've already manifested that kind of result into your life and you see yourself with that result, it becomes more and more real in your mind space. And your mind cannot distinguish between what's imagined and what's real. Really, it's like the most beautiful thing. It cannot. In
Yeah.
the mind space, you cannot resolve between reality
Oh.
and what's perceived in your imagination. That's why law of attraction kind of works. So once you start to focus on the feeling, then you automatically attract it into your life. The feeling is what brings the result into your life.
That's wow. When you said the subconscious does not know if it's real or not, I was reading this book called Owning Your Own Shadow, Understanding the Dark Side of the Psyche, by another psychologist, and he said that when you have some kind of progress or you make an achievement in life, make sure you take out the trash, or make sure you go and live among the poor for a bit. He said because what happens is the way meaning and order and chaos in life works is that if you have peace, if you achieve peace and prosperity, you have to pay homage to chaos. You have to pay homage to your negative side also. If you don't do that, it shall manifest in ways that you will not be able to control. And he said, so basically, you don't have to. Coming back to the idea about the psyche, is like the psyche is not able to distinguish if it's real or not. Just taking out the trash as soon as you receive good news you're sort of paying homage to your dark side, and your psyche will think, okay, this guy is doing his part, I'm on his side, as opposed to look at this cocky motherfucker with his great news. Let me fuck him in the ass when he least expects it, because he didn't pay homage to my dark side.
Right. So what I find that anytime you're in a good spell, your ego kicks in, and you start to get this high. You're just like, wow, I'm God. I can do this. You just like start walking around with this like confidence, and that's when things start to go downhill, because once you're high and when you have that ego high, then you don't see like certain things, and like it just I don't know what it is. It's some like magical force that just comes and like pounds you, like you said.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's more about your belief system. So like I said, there's a core belief that you have, and if you start to identify with a certain belief system, if you believe that you must give something in order to get something, then that's what your reality shall be.
I see.
If you believe that you must take a certain amount of action before you can get this, then that's what it's going to be. And you see, it's like some of the belief systems are so foundational. Like I said, we can't even see it. Like we can't really see any of these belief systems.
Yeah.
And it just sounds crazy. Like I don't even want to say it, but even like gravity apparently is like a crazy belief system. That
well,
you
it
can
is.
levitate. Like
it is.
Technically, like yogis who've like shifted from that belief system could like pick it out and just surrender it. They can levitate, apparently. See, it sounds crazy to me too.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because what's the best way to explain it? Like the idea that science has proposed this, we have agreed, and that's it. But to essentially toy with the idea of reality itself and then pick out its elements, I think that requires a lot of internal work. That's something that the average human being, rational and all, cannot even imagine.
Right.
And that's why we have that sort of skepticism. But so you mentioned that whatever thoughts you have, whatever you believe about things is what your reality will be, right?
Right.
And that's something that's in so many different forms in society, especially in pop culture. That's like, okay, you are what you believe, you are what you think. Those are the sort of kind of quotes you see on Instagram, but they never go deep. You're never able to fully understand that. And what I wanted to ask you about specifically is like, how much of I don't know, you're not a psychologist, but just from the perspective of law of attraction, how much do beliefs ingrained from your childhood, especially trauma and all of that, how much those do play a factor in this, and can you change them?
Right. So I'm not too sure about this, but I've studied this a little bit. And it's not just beliefs from your childhood. If you believe that there is like your past lives.
I have done a past life regression.
So you've done a past life regression?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to experience that. But anyway, more on that later.
Yeah.
Even stuff from your past life tends to repeat itself in a karmic cycle. So not just memories from your childhood, but memories from your past life will come back. And I'm actually going to release a new video on this. And I was talking about the 4 levels in which you can control your energy.
Interesting.
And basically, there is the level of repression, the first level, where in which you have hidden some certain memories at such a level that it's just like, wow, it's just like not unknown to you, and it's like affecting you in ways you just don't even know of, unconscious, like at the subconscious level. Above that is the level of suppression, where you consciously suppress things, and over time, this suppressed, like. The suppressed memories become repressed.
Yes.
Certain parts of it get into your psyche and they get ingrained into your subconscious. And you'll start to see that certain patterns will be repeating through your life. Like you'll be going back to certain habits and you just don't know why. Like you just can't even muster up the willpower. Even though you've developed new habits, you just keep going back to these old habits.
Yeah.
And that's because this cycle hasn't been broken because you have all these repressed memories, right?
Yeah.
Above suppression is expression.
Yeah.
And expression occurs when you basically feel angry and you express this anger by like punching walls, by like getting mad at someone, screaming at someone, yelling at someone.
Is only anger, or could that be
it
other
could be
emotions?
Like sadness, anything. Just like when you express your emotions. So basically,
whatever that is.
Yeah. So to give it more of a context, it's like what I talk about in my book extensively is that energy needs to flow. All the experiences you have in your life need to flow through you. All of the experience that you have in your life now are actually flowing through you. But then there's that 1% that doesn't flow through you. It stays in you and it starts to bother you every time something happens.
Yeah, so bring everything out of your subconscious.
Right. So all of this energy, whenever energy gets stagnant, that's when you have a problem.
How do you know that?
One of my mentors taught me this. And anytime you can't manifest something into your life and you're struggling at some field, let's say, you're trying to make some money, you can't make some money. It's because energy isn't flowing through that aspect of life.
Okay.
So there is no energy flow. There is some stagnant energy that's going on. And because of this stagnant energy, we can relate it to all the levels. Repression is stagnant energy. Suppression is a higher level, but it's still stagnant energy. Expression is actually a little bit of flow of energy that's happening.
Yeah.
But you keep perpetuating this stagnant energy because you're expressing it and you keep it alive. This anger is kept alive by expression.
Wow.
And above that, the highest level is release, where you surrender it. So you take such a deep seat into yourself and your thoughts that you see all of these feelings in your thoughts and you see yourself having all of these feelings and thoughts and you just observe them. You have no judgment, no moralizing about them. You just observe them and you let them be without trying to change them. And you also ask for more of it. And it shows to yourself that it's okay to feel these. You don't need to resist it. There is a subconscious resistance that we have to certain things. It's like going out into the cold, you're like, you know?
Or also, for that matter, if you're raised in a country that, or raised in a culture that says these emotions are bad to feel, these emotions you can feel, this is not for you. So one of the common things that, especially for men, is like, one of the things that I think in all cultures, is we're told to hide is sadness. Sadness is a big one. Like, or, you know, because that manifests often in crying.
Vulnerability,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Like toughening up.
Absolutely.
Being that. But the thing is, that is often taken up by, you know, some social justice warriors nowadays and used as like a placard, like, oh, men should be vulnerable, yes, but not in the way that you're propounding, which is to say, oh, completely lose all masculine polarity and just become a cuck.
Right.
But it's so stagnant energy, because I mean, I'm sure if someone comments on this video or if someone talks to me about this, everyone has that. I think I have that personally also in different areas of my life. Recognizing it is the first part, as that has been established, because I think everyone has the self-awareness where you can know, I suck at this.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Be surprised. Self-awareness is the most rare thing people have. Like, just, I mean, I used to think this too. You know, like everyone has that level of self-awareness. Come on, everyone can just snap out of it and be like, oh my god, I'm just like me. I can. The beautiful thing about human beings, as opposed to animals, is we can experience our own existence.
100%.
How amazing is that?
Animals are in a self-perpetuating loop.
They're just
no imagination.
Biological desires react to biological desires. Always
primal,
reactive,
impulsive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we can experience our own being.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, to me, that's just like, whoa.
Like, it's happening right now. Look at this. Look at this second order thinking that we're pursuing right now. Thinking about thinking right now.
and it just goes to show that if you can establish that source, that you can experience your own being, then you can actually control your life. You can control the outcomes of your life. It's just like moving your hands. We don't really know how this happens. Like, we can do it, but we just don't know how it happens. Imagine if you could just like manifest $1,000 every minute just by moving your finger. Like, imagine you could just levitate stuff just because you can feel it, you know? It's kind of like that. We just don't know how we do this. Why can't we do that? Why can't we just move it up? Like there's a magical connection to it.
Yeah.
You know, science says, oh, it's because everything is connected here. I know a lot of people are going to be watching this video. They're going to be like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is some, like, crazy
I'm really
shit.
interested because
But you know, it just makes you think.
So, quick thing. You obviously practice the law of attraction all the time. And you manifest things. What are some of the ways in which this law has enabled success in your life? And I don't mean success in the sense that you got richer, you became fitter, because obviously those are surface level goals, important nonetheless. But more so about, are you happier? Are you spiritually more inclined? Do you feel like you're serving a purpose? All of those things.
So, I have had different stages in this journey. It's really a journey. I've had different stages. I first started off meditating. And meditating, I didn't even notice the benefits of meditating until like maybe 3 or 4 months in. Like,
you would meditate every single day for 10,
like,
15
yeah, like 10,
minutes?
15, 20. No, I would start off 10 minutes, and then second week I started doing, you know what? I said, fuck it, I'm going to do 20 minutes. And then I started doing 20 minutes. I would just like sit down, before bed. I would just like look at one point in the wall. I'd make like a point with a black dot, and I'd just stare at it for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Set my timer on my phone, just sit cross-legged, stare at it. And then I just feel a little different every day, and then all of a sudden, it's just like such a gradual change, you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
And then 3 or 4 months later, one day I was like, dude, this is doing nothing for me. What the fuck? This is bullshit. So I just stopped meditating for like 3 or 4 days, and then I was like, holy shit, I'm so reactive to everything. I'm just like on my phone for hours and hours, and I don't even notice. Like, time just passed like 3 or 4 hours. Oh my god, it's just like something's like draining me. It's like sucking the life out of me. Every single activity I do sucks the life out of me. It's just like there is no space between me and myself.
Holy shit, that is crazy.
So it's just when you stop all these good habits and good practices, you'll start to see how much progress you've made. Even if you set goals for yourself, like you set a big goal for yourself, you'll never see it manifest just like that. It just happens so gradually. Like, life just happens for you so gradually that it's so little, step
you don't
by
even
step.
pay attention to it.
Exactly. It just doesn't. It's just like,
that is insane though, man. Because I've experienced that withdrawal, but I've never voiced it. It's like I have this set of crazy months of following every single habit that is supposed to make me the person I want to be.
And then you start doubting it, right?
And you doubt. It's like, what the fuck? How many tick marks and checkpoints do I want to make in my journal of all the things I've done?
Absolutely.
It's not working clearly. And then you get down and you look at yourself with horror. Like, it's like, oh shit, I've regressed from what I was doing before. Look at me lying ass up on this bed for 6 hours.
Yeah.
High as fuck from last night. It sucks. I just had Domino's yesterday. What the fuck am I doing? And then you think, perhaps this is reality. Perhaps this is the way to go. Perhaps that thing is not sustainable. And then you do that for months. You go further down the rabbit hole, become worse. And then, it's that moment of like absolute chaos. And then you have an epiphany. Maybe if I do that thing again, it would change. And you climb up. But it is insane, the sort of progress you made. I'm just taken aback by the sort of intensity with which you express that. It's like you did that for so many days and months, and then you realize actually it was happening for you all the time without you paying attention. But because we live in a sort of society and our conditioning is such that where's the money now?
Right.
Where's the effect now?
Right. It's like the millennial thing. You're just like, I want this now. I want this now. Amazon, order it, 2-day delivery. I want it now.
Uber Eats right fucking now.
Uber Eats right fucking now.
Yeah, it's also
absolutely.
With Instagram also, like, I've had those days where I've followed none of my habits. I'll lie down flat on my ass, and I'll just try to scroll again and again on the Instagram again and again.
It's like you're looking for something, but you can't find it, you know?
Dude,
I know what that feeling is. It's just like, come on. One more, I'll go.
Some kind of, even the fact that I got like 4 DMs, like, oh, instant dopamine hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then that's gone. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
It is insane. So, I mean, try to also stay away from social media whenever I can. Just delete the apps and chill out for a couple of...
Yeah.
Because that's also necessary. But coming back to the topics that we're going to discuss today, what are some of the ways in which people can kind of start getting interested in law of attraction? Because clearly I am interested now. Before this podcast, I had my fair share of skepticism. But within the span of the conversation we've had, I've definitely seen, or at least witnessed some things from you that have, made me really think about stuff. Like maybe perhaps, I should think about the thoughts that come to my head, because not all of them are my friends, let's just say. It's this sort of... I was at a yoga class this one day, and this guy said... We were talking about thoughts, and he said, I need allies in my mind. And...
Damn.
I was scared for that guy, because imagine the sort of mental reality that man has to have.
Resisting your own self, your own being. But you know what's funny? It's like any single ailment that happens to us. We get sick. It's like, oh, you get cancer. It's like your body's just attacking itself. It really is just like your body attacking itself because it doesn't recognize this foreign self.
Yeah.
And your thoughts are just like that. Like nowadays, we don't really pay attention to our psychological state. But if we have a problem with our physical state, we don't feel healthy, then it's a huge problem.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're going through life, we're having all of these thoughts and we're just like resisting them, putting them away, pushing them down, suppressing them, repressing them. No one really cares about it. Your psychological well-being.
Well, because you have places to go and things to do, like that
like
doing
to distract yourself.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to go back to your the practices part, the law of attraction part. So going back to the doing and being frame, I'm not saying that doing doesn't work. It's just that the doing needs a context. You do all of these things to get this, but if you start to focus more on becoming that person, and then from that becoming and that being frame of mind, you start to do, then it becomes much more effective. So an example of that would be, well, I want to be a 4.0 student. What would a 4.0 student do? How would he spend his time? What's the first thing a 4.0 student would do in the morning? And the biggest breakthrough for me in academia and like getting a 4.0 was this is not my life. This is a part of my life, and I don't want to spend a lot of time in it. So I want to study as least as I can and get the best results.
Right.
So like you said, we can do thousands and thousands of things. Like there's a lot of things to be done.
Yeah.
But it's finding out the 80-20. I don't know if you've heard that
the Pareto principle. 20% of the things you do
produces
manifest 80% of the results, and
absolutely
80% of the things you do produce 20%, like vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's always about finding that one thing that you can do that makes any other thing irrelevant or just unnecessary to be done. It's like that domino effect. You knock down the big domino and all the small dominoes come down.
Yeah. It's also
you knock down the small domino and all the big ones come down.
Yeah, it's also this new age trend that has now been sweeping across the U.S., especially minimalism, essentialism. Those are two big things.
Yeah.
Essentialism is essentially the disciplined pursuit of less. It's like you do 2 things, you do them great, instead of doing 10 things in a good or lackluster or substandard manner.
Yeah.
And minimalism is like, well, what are your ambitions? X, Y, and Z. Just focus on them. You don't need this extraneous stuff that you're thinking you need it. Well, because you've seen standards that others have imposed on you, and they're causing you to suddenly chase all these different other things that you think will complete you. But that is not the case. Like if you could singularly boil down your life without the influences of others, like that's the reason why people love retreats. Retreats from your home, from your room, from even your city, because you can go outside of the influences that you're surrounded by and see yourself as one person, a composite person with their beliefs and their desires, and see, okay, what I really want in my life. That's when people usually have epiphanies, like, okay, I was on a vacation in this isolated place, and then I realized, I'm actually going to change my life now. You can't have that epiphany if you're going through your 9 to 5 stuff on a daily basis. You may have that, but it's harder because you're surrounded by all of these different standards. So I did want to ask you the fastest way to get from the doing to the being paradigm.
Okay. So
quick exercise, something like that. Because I know you talk about that a lot in your videos.
Yeah, videos and also in my book. So one thing about me is I'm a very practical person. So I'll do exercises.
Okay.
So I like to do a lot of doing. And back then I was also a lot of doing paradigm, doing minded person. But then I understood the being paradigm just like a few months ago. And then my life started to blow up. Everything just started to like fall into place. Everything's just like effortless. Everything just happens for me. I don't even do anything. I just sit back and watch life manifest for me. It's like you make like an intention.
Right.
So again, going back to the law of attraction, you said what practices would you do? What sort of mindsets would you develop?
Yes.
First of all is understanding the difference between desire and intention. You can desire something all you want, but nothing happens. Right. And also what I'm going to do is set up a model. So in my book, we talk about this model of reality and the model of law of attraction that you're going to use to get things in your life. And this is the quantum physics model. It's a book called Reality Transurfing. It's an amazing book. I don't know if you've read it.
Reality Transurfing?
Yeah, by Vadim Zeland. It's like literally it's the Bible of the law of attraction. I'm not kidding. It's the LOA Bible. Like if you read that book, you do not need any other law of attraction. Is it
something along the lines of go to the astral plane?
No.
Fuck that shit. Yeah. I don't understand that.
No, fuck that. No, it's more like, it's kind of like, it assumes that you are infinite. So in your potential, you are infinite. You're basically all of the different personalities that you can create for yourself, you are already all of them. All of the realities that you can create for yourself, you are all of them. You're just choosing to manifest a certain reality right now based on the thoughts, based on the actions, and based on the feelings, and based on the emotions that you have, based on the beliefs that you have. So your reality
is reactive to your environment?
No, your reality is reactive to your current inner being right now. I see. So your reality, whatever you're seeing right now, is a result of what you're holding inside.
Yeah.
But you're already infinite in your potential. So you can be anything. There's a reality right now in which you're a king, and a reality right now in which you're caught up in a tornado and like a fucking like hurricane or any other natural disaster. It's just, but you're manifesting this current reality based on your belief systems. So anyway, going back to this model, understanding the difference between desire and intention was a big one for me, where you start to desire something and you can't get it because you're putting up what is known as excess potential. So in this model of transurfing, we talk about excess potential. And what excess potential is basically the generation of this, basically a potential where everything is just heightened. And nature doesn't like this excess potential. So nature will do anything to balance out this excess potential because it's creating an inhomogeneity in the field. So,
right. It's like in science, you study the idea of energy transferring from different places.
So this is creating potential. But this is the lowest potential it can be. But it's still pretty high potential. And going to lower ground is even lower potential it can be. So when you create desire, you create a potential. And when you create that desire, nature will take the path of least resistance. So once you desire something, you can either get that thing, nature will balance out by giving you the thing that you want, or just not giving it to you at all. Or
which
like
will further
which is the easiest. Which will further put this down. Nature wants to bring this down here because it's creating excess potential.
Okay.
Because nature acts at the high to like increase entropy, disorder. Nature likes disorder.
I see.
It's like thermodynamics.
Nature is considered feminine and chaotic. It is.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Cut that out.
No, it's there's nothing wrong about it. It's like not man or woman, but like literally, in octuple psychological language. Because again, when I say feminine and chaotic, I don't mean like it's bad, but potential comes out of chaos.
Right.
You manifest the tangible from the intangible.
Right.
But too much of that, and you can be engulfed.
Right. So anyway, going back to excess potential, we can sort of think about this idea by imagining that you go on to a very high platform, right? You go onto like a top of a hill, and then you step on the ledge.
Right.
And once you step on the ledge, feelings of fear are being raised within you, right? You look down, you feel fear. And you're standing there and you feel fear. And you could either... Nature's way of balancing that excess potential you've created by the mere act of standing on that ledge is either by pushing you to plunge to your own death or putting you back into safer grounds.
Right.
And because the potential is so high and the feelings of fear have raised this potential to such a high level, you're quickly either going to step off the ledge or you're going to jump into your own death by slipping or tripping, whatever nature wills.
Right.
And nature will take the path of least resistance. So you'll see that you'll probably step down after like a few minutes because it's too scary being up there. And that feeling of fear is generating this potential.
Right.
So again, that feeling of desire generates this potential.
Right.
And then nature acts to balance this inhomogeneity by either giving you what you want or not giving it to you.
Right.
Whichever is easier for nature to take.
Right.
Now, we can override this desire part by intending for things to happen. And intention is basically like this. I say I'm going to move my finger, I move my finger. Intention. So we have all of these intentions throughout the day. Right. Where we say, I'm going to do this. And then we end up doing something else. And that creates like a conflict in your psyche.
Yeah. It makes you incongruent, sort of cognitive dissonance.
Exactly.
Also,
you're just like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. But before that, I'm just going to go, and then you just confuse yourself. So one way to really practice intending is to make an intention and actually stick through it and do it. This makes you more and more powerful in what you intend to do. And instead of saying, I desire this, say, I intend to get this. That was a step up for me. And then you can align that with the being paradigm, and it makes it much more powerful. And you say, well, I want to be this person who gets this. What kind of person gets a 4.0? What kind of a person gets $1 million? What would a millionaire do? What's the first thing a millionaire does? I'm living my life like a millionaire because I am a millionaire. So you start to assume that you already have something, and it's like it comes to you.
What about your mind coming in and playing tricks?
That's the most interesting part. Your mind's always going to play tricks on you, and so are your emotions. And the most powerful technique and tool you can use for that is surrender. Basically letting that energy flow through you. So you take such a deep seat into yourself and you start to observe all these feelings and all these thoughts and your mind playing tricks on you. You start to see them as ridiculous. It's just like, oh, look, I want to do this. I want to go talk to that girl, but my mind is saying this. This is amazing. I'm making all of these excuses up in my mind right now just to prevent myself from talking to that cute girl, just to stay in my comfort zone.
Right.
And you start to see that and it just becomes so ridiculous.
That's fascinating. I never thought of it in that sense because usually what happens is, again, the whole idea of desire and intention, it's mostly you get a feeling, I want this into 2. I want this into 4. I want this into 5.
Yeah.
What do I have to do to get it? Oh, I could take this one step. Oh,
what do I have to be to get it is the better question. What do I have to be in order to attract that kind of thing into my life?
So, I would say, let's just say, okay, if I want to be an artist, the doing paradigm would dictate draw every day, which is a skill, which is good, right?
Right.
But from the being paradigm, would that be, okay, how would Pablo Picasso lead his day?
Absolutely.
Take a break from drawing every 2 days.
What does it feel like to be an accomplished artist? What does it feel like to be such a successful artist? I'm drawing all of these. Maybe the accomplished artist does draw every single day, but it's coming from a different mind space.
Right. Because that's his natural reality.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, I'm already a great artist. I'm doing this because I want to share this value with the world. That's another thing I learned, another important thing to understand in the law of attraction is the idea of scarcity versus lack. So anything you do in life has a context to it. The doing always has a context to it. So you can do things because you feel complete. You already feel complete within yourself. And you just want to do this because you want to experience this part of life and you want to give value to this part of life. Whenever you focus on what you can give, then life just gives back to you. And whenever you focus on what you can take, then life takes from you. So it's just like it never works out when you're just focusing on having. Then you focus on the lower level paradigm. And you can come from a mindset of scarcity where you're just like, well, I need that to make me feel complete because I do not already feel complete. And it never really happens. And even if you do get it per chance, it doesn't make you feel complete because that's not what was missing in the first place. The only thing that was missing in the first place was you.
Wow. It's funny that you say that. So has all of your kind of insights, have they stemmed from just the law of attraction, or has there been other esoteric ideas that you've taken and woven them into all of this?
A lot of esoteric ideas, and I think I would say my life started to like blow up, like spiritually. It just exploded after I started doing yoga. So Sadhguru has this program. It's called
Inner engineering?
Not inner engineering. He has Surya Kriya.
Okay.
And
Surya Kriya would translate into, roughly speaking, some kind of discipline of the sun.
The Kriya of the sun.
Okay.
So the Surya Namaskar.
Yeah,
then Surya
I do that.
Kriya. Right, but Surya Kriya is like much more spiritually inclined. It's just like focused more on breathing, and it's like Kriya. Kriya is like focused on energies.
Okay.
So, and Surya Namaskar is derived from Surya Kriya, or that's what Sadhguru claims.
I see, because I do the Surya Namaskar every single day.
Yeah.
And I've never heard the Surya Kriya. I know, like, Madhav, could you look up what Kriya means? Kriya in translation in English? Yeah, but go on.
So yeah, when you're doing Surya Kriya, it's one of Sadhguru's. He basically, I think he got it from someone like a lot of an ancient yogi, but irrelevant.
Right.
And I got one of his students. So he trains in his what is that place in Velangiri Hills in somewhere in Tamil Nadu. He trains a lot of yogis in order to become instructors and teach this practice. This practice, right? So I got one of those teachers to come teach me at mine, and he taught me this, and I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 months now, and really, it's just you start to see your body change, you start to see yourself change, you start to see your mental state, spiritual state, everything just blows up. Now I just like walk. Sometimes I'll just be walking on the street like all the time. I look at nature and I'm just like, wow, this is beautiful, and it's just like everything in your life just blows up.
That's amazing. What does it mean?
You look at trees. You look at trees. So Kriya, and it's just life. There's life everywhere.
Oh, that's precisely right. Because Kriya means, another meaning of Kriya is an outward physical manifestation of awakened Kundalini, such as a spontaneous body movement related to Kundalini energy flow.
Right. So the main idea of yoga is union. Yoga literally means union, where you. The problem right now is you think there is you and the rest of the world. There is right now, there is me, and then there's the rest of the world.
Which is the classic individualistic belief that exists in the West.
That I am separate from the world.
Yeah.
And what yoga tries to do is put you at one with the world. So it works on erasing the boundaries that you have between you and the world.
Yeah.
So you become one with your surroundings.
There's this interesting practice that we have in Hinduism. I really did not know why we did it until a couple of days ago because I was researching it. For example, a book falls down on the ground. You pick it up and then go like this and you touch it to your head.
We do that too in Islam.
Yeah, and I was like, why? What's the reason for that? And I looked up the reason. It said that there's this inherent belief that there's life in every single thing, even the inanimate objects in the world. So you want to respect that. You want to acknowledge that life. And that was a strange idea to me because before that, my parents used to tell me, when a book falls down, you pick it up because it's education.
Yeah.
Respect education.
Yeah, that's what my parents told me too.
Yeah, but I never knew that there's this other element that exists that, anything that falls down. There's Jains in India, like it's a whole different...
Jainism?
Yeah, Jainism. And they have this idea that they don't even eat meat, and at least the adherents of that to the T, what they do is that when they walk on the street, they'll look down to see if they're not killing any insects or anything like that, and that's too far.
That's like kind of extreme for me.
It is, but it just to show that idea exists, that there's life in everything inherently.
Yeah.
Damn, man. How are we doing on time right now?
Too much. More than 50 minutes.
Okay, cool. I wanted to ask you about. Do you have to be somewhere?
No. Like in 10 minutes.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, kind of quickly to start wrapping things up. Now, there's a lot of skepticism about all of this, right? Because you look up law of attraction. The first thing, once you get through the guides and stuff, pseudoscience, it makes a fucking bad use of science. Who are these? You could perceive that as either genuine criticism or resentment
Right.
from these people who don't understand it.
Right.
My question to you is, how do you combat that? Because what we just did in this conversation, and this is just scratching the surface
Right.
of the stuff that you discuss in your videos,
Right.
which is even like 10 times deep in the rabbit hole of this stuff. Like you have to be immersed in this discipline, otherwise you would either lose that person as an audience, or they would judge you based on the cover of the book and think about different things. When you try to explain this to someone, does this happen often?
Yeah, all the time. It's the skepticism just arises from such like deep childhood. They like mold you and knead you into this, and you just can't like, you get shaped, you get molded into like this person who says, "Oh, science is the ultimate truth. There is nothing beyond science and rationalism. If it can logically make sense, then that's the truth." But the thing is, what we don't understand is there is this experiential reality, which is much more powerful than what you can believe and what you can read. Because believing is just the equivalent of saying, "I do not know." You say, "I believe" when you do not know something. You can only know something when you've experienced it. Isn't that so?
Yeah.
So that's why what I encourage everyone to do is just, if you really want to test some sort of theory out and you're skeptical about it, you should be skeptical, you should be questioning, because it's so easy to get tricked nowadays. There's so many con men and god men and people
100%.
just preaching all sorts of bullshit. Try it out. If it doesn't work for you, then it's not for you. Then it's not true for you, but that doesn't mean it's not true for everyone else. Yeah. Because a lot of our reality is experienced by personal beliefs, like I said.
It's funny that you say that, the idea of experiential reality, because so we don't do this. There's not a trend about this anymore. But the Renaissance, the age of the Renaissance, was one of the central components of that was empiricism, which means that you shall only talk about the things that you yourself have observed and experienced. And that's to say that
reference experience.
Like quite literally, there's this book called 7 Ways to Think Like Da Vinci, to boost your everyday genius. One of them is, a lot of the exercises in the book are literally responding to and writing about what your senses feel. What did you see today? What did you hear today?
Right.
What did you touch today? What did you smell today? I mean, I'm kind of breaking it down the basics, but essentially the idea is that you do that, you document that every single day, and eventually you realize these are the things that are making your reality, like your experience, essentially, right? Because you don't think about that. You sort of go about your day, interesting smell, blah, 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 blah. You go about your day, touch something, it feels like this, feels like wood. But essentially, this is what you're experiencing, and this your sensory perception is what then eventually defines your reality. Because you're filtering all of these different things through your eyes, through your ears, through your skin, through your nose. And if you don't think about that, then those sort of become passive in the background.
Right.
And then 10 years pass. Let's just say you live near a sewer, and you become like an upset person because you didn't even pay attention to the fact that you were being exposed to all these different smells.
Right.
Or sound-wise, you're being exposed to all these different negative energies and ideas. But you're just like, fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say about that is, the crazy thing about like experience and experiential reality is you cannot really express it in words. Language breaks down at a certain point, right? There's only so much language can do.
Right.
At such a high level, at a high energy, such a high energy state, lower level energy methods don't really work. Because it's like when Einstein says, you can't solve a problem at the level at which it was created.
Right.
You must go a level higher.
Yeah.
So people who get enlightened beings, how do you expect them to be able to explain such experiences in words? It's like every cell of your body is just experiencing ecstasy. How do you fucking explain that? How do I explain this to you in words that accurately, like really accurately just depicts this?
That's
just
true.
this. This is like my touch, my feeling experience. How do I put it into words?
Well, there is no way. But technically speaking, I mean,
this may feel different for me as it feels for you,
Yeah.
Feels for him. Feels for everyone. It's
Right.
You know.
I know what you mean. It's just that, again, goes back to the idea that humans want to break down everything and quantify it and logicize. I don't know if that's a word. Logicize it, but it definitely gets you, if not from a place, if it doesn't get you to point infinity, does it get you from point A to Z, which is not as bad.
And I'm not saying it's like a bad method, like rationalizing and logicizing
of course.
it. It's not. It's what helped humanity get to this point.
Right. When
but
they started
there's
thinking
a certain
about
flaw to it.
100%. So that's all the thing. It's like, you talked about how people want. You said people want to explain everything through science and stuff, and a lot of this stuff, the law of attraction, manifesting things, visualizations, affirmations, all of those things exist purely on the plane of experience, purely on the plane of I am experiencing this thing, and there's uncertain and unexplainable and more powerful than me factors at play here, which you cannot possibly break down into a single component, make a self-help program out of it and sell it to 7 people and they'll buy it. It's not that case. And I certainly...
I was going to do that. You totally got me out.
Dude, I certainly had this belief that, the law of attraction is bullshit. I did not know and think about it, and I would just see the headlines here and there and be like, what the fuck is this? What is the law of attraction? You attract your vibe, like la 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 la.
Yeah.
But I come to think about it now, like even after this conversation, I think there's a lot of work to be done to really dig deep into this stuff, because like I said, you can fix your psychology on the level of everyday existence, tweak behaviors so that they become bearable.
Surface level.
Surface level.
Like
surface
you said, scratching the
change.
surface.
Yeah, but this is the stuff that if the viewers and the listeners are really interested, I would highly recommend. Check out his YouTube channel. He also has a book called Life Mastery. We already discussed that. There's going to be a link in the bio, and you can buy that on Amazon. Do you have some kind of a special discount for our viewers?
Honestly, I might just do a special discount.
Fuck yeah. We're going to have something, make announcements, and thank you so much for being here, man. This was Quazi Johir.
This was great.
Thank you. Sayonara, motherfuckers. Peace.